Um, Hello and welcome, true believers. It's your resident Gwen Stacy and Miles Morales here to do some gushing.
Yeah.
I
No, I'm
didn't.
more
I
of a
don't know how to
Hopi.
make it
I'm more of
not
a
sound
Hopi,
gross.
bruv.
A Hobie, Hobie.
Yeah.
I saw a tweet like literally 5 minutes ago that was the tag. I was at a Target. It was the tag for Spider Punk, but the toy was missing. Like somebody stole it, and the caption was, it's what he would want."
Yeah. It's exactly that's what he would want. I like that. Oh my god.
That's because
So,
that's the
Rebecca.
other thing too. Because that, yeah. What's up?
No, like go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say, it's what he would want. But also, uh, having Spider Punk merch doesn't. How capitalism? How can one buy Spider Punk merch and feel good about it?
You have to make it. I feel like the only way you're supposed to do it is you have to make your own Spider-Punk merch.
Mm-hmm. Cut up your magazines, animate yourself at different frame rates.
Basically, there's a writer's strike going on. Be your own boss. Be a girl boss.
Girl boss your way to the top. Jay and I we're here to talk about Across the Spider Verse. Did you see it again after you saw it the one time?
I'll be honest, I have not had the time or bandwidth to do it, but it's fresh in my brain, and I have talked about the movie and to a point where I know what I like. I know what I had
Mm-hmm.
teensy problems with, but other than that, I know what I loved, and I know there's a lot of like everyone's like, "Did you see that thing? Did you see that? Did you see that person? Did you see that? They're teasing this." And I don't give it. I don't care. I don't care anymore. Like I just want to enjoy the movie. I'm just having so much fun getting older and enjoying movies.
That's the thing. So I went and saw it again in IMAX, and the first night I saw it Thursday night, and didn't have the appropriate audience reaction that I would have liked. But when I saw it again at an IMAX showing, absolutely appropriate audience reaction. Movie ends, to be continued drops. Spoiler alert, by the way, this is just going to be spoiler territory. And the thing drops, credits start to roll, audience goes woo and starts applauding, and I'm like, this is the response I needed on Thursday.
Absolutely. See, and I said it on the regular show, regular Geek Show. If you're listening, go see it in a don't see it in the suburbs. See it with some nerds, see it with some people of color, because this is really there. Like I'll be honest, this this movie. If you think ketchup is spicy, this movie is not for you. It, It's not. This
Yeah,
is not your spider. Yeah.
if you don't like art, if you don't like transformative stories, not for
Yeah.
you. But I also
There
I was because I love Into the Spider Verse. Into the Spider Verse is a beloved movie, and when I went to go see it, my friend asked if she could bring her son, and I was like, "Is this a kids movie?" It is. When I saw it again at IMAX, I watched it from a different perspective because when I saw it the first time, I watched it through the lens of, yes, Into the Spider Verse sequel. This is high art, and you guys can appreciate it. But when I watched it again on Saturday, I watched it through the lens of, okay, this is a kids movie. And it was so enjoyable that way too, because it's a story that resonates with like a lot of kids, right? There's a lot of themes of, especially I'll talk about this in a little bit, but like, telling your parents things you feel like you can't tell them, and wanting to be included, but not being allowed to be included, right? Like, I feel like that's a pretty universal story of just wanting to be included, but being told that you can't.
Well, yeah, and then just all right, we're getting deeper into the movie, but being told not only that you can't be included, but not only you're not included, but you're a mistake. You know what I mean? Like that.
Oh
That is a
God.
whole.
Yeah.
That's like a whole different thing to unpack. Where it's like, no, your whole existence was a mix. Was a. I almost said mistake, but it's a mistake. Yes, like, but and we'll get into the mixtape later. But like, yeah, like that whole idea of like, okay, well, everything about me is a lie or a mistake. How do I feel now? As also, I'm 15. What is algebra and quantum physics?
Right. But also, I guess I didn't really think too much about the you're a mistake part. And especially when Miles has spent the last however many years really honing his style and honing his craft and being a good Spider-Man, right? And to be told that like this isn't for you after you've spent years doing it, that sucks to hear.
Right. Well, I mean, it's no different because what at this point he's been like Spider-Man for 4 or 5 years now. So that's like college. Like
Yeah.
imagine you go to like you go to like you go to a university, and you know all of a sudden uh, you're an accounting major for 4 years, and the next thing you know you're like, nah, man. This somebody tells you this ain't it. No, you're never supposed to be an accountant. That's
Same
that's
for
that's
you.
that's hurtful. It's not for you.
Ugh. Yeah.
But
Well, and they also
what
what
I
I like about that too is like they don't really get into the meat of that part of the story until more than halfway through, right? Like there is so much movie that happens before you even get to 2099 Nueva York and all of the things like all the heavy stuff really starts to hit.
right, and Spider-Man back muscles. I'm gonna call him uh which yeah with Miguel O'Hara were spider lats.
Yeah.
We're gonna call him spider lats. And spider lats. The whole time I was trying to figure out because I'll be honest, I was like, there was a point where we get introduced to the first villain, Spot. And notice I said first villain because it clearly seems
Mm,
that there's something else afoot. So I'm just like, where is this all going? And then I was like, oh, Spider Lat, or he might be the villain. Is like establishment the
right,
villain?
he's like a villain in a way. He's Hobie's arch nemesis, the one trying to create order and maintain a sense of stability throughout everything. And I mean, he's right. I like that he's not necessarily a villain, but he is an antagonist because he
Yes.
is doing this thing where he's trying to keep universes from collapsing. Um, and Miles is the source of the issue, right? He Spider Lats has experienced what can happen firsthand, and he doesn't want that to happen to other universes. So I can understand where he's coming from. I think his approach is a little aggressive.
Well, yeah. I mean, well, when you've been taking also because what he's a vampire who's been you know basically taking multiverse pre-workout for forever, and his whole world he got blown it up, and so like yeah, he's a little bit
Yeah, so
perturbed. Is it?
what's the deal with I I don't know anything about Miguel O'Hara or Spider-Man 2099. He's a vampire? Is this what I'm understanding?
Yeah, he is a vampire that was who traveled, or he's in the future. He's a vampire who also is stuck with a Bowflex, and so that like is what he is basically just doing in the future. I forget honestly the whole 2099 run. I was kind of unfamiliar with that. I mean, I read it as a kid and then I completely forgot about it because I was like, what are they going to do with this? I was more into X-Men 2099, which I did enjoy, but I don't know.
Mm.
Like I will say, um, I did like Oscar Isaac as Miguel O'Hara. I thought he did a wonderful job as far as the voice acting, and there's depth to this. So like even if he's not a villain, he he's an antagonist, you do sympathize and empathize with his struggle. Like every single
Mm-hmm.
spider person has a struggle that we are like, oh, your family got blown up in the multiverse, and then you try to do that, and then like you came back, and then like, oh, you just black and pregnant, so you dealing with all types of other stuff going on with Spider Woman, that Jessica Drew.
Mm-hmm.
So
But his whole thing too really sets up the every spider person has canonical events that have to happen in their lives in order to motivate them to be spider people. And he tried to fight that. So he is like the OG, like, no, you do not fight your canonical events. Your canonical events have to happen or else. And I,
right.
the thing, okay. Yeah, let's see. So, during this part of the movie, I really loved how they just show this. I didn't believe this part of the movie when I first saw it. Like they're walking through Spider Town or whatever, and I'm like, oh, that's so much fun. Like I love seeing all these different variants of Spider-Man. And then Donald Glover shows up, and I'm like, my brain short circuited, and I couldn't quite process it. I was like, this is not real. I'm not looking at a real thing. This is not a real thing.
Donald Glover shows up, and I lose my mind. Like in the theater I was in, which was a very diverse theater, and my favorite part was like someone just yells out, "That's my shit!" That was like my favorite thing. It's like my favorite thing.
Oh, I wish I could have
Oh,
been
it
there
was
for that.
it was so pure. It was so pure, and it's like and whoever that person was, that is our shit. That is what we signed up
Mm-hmm.
for. We want to see the surprises, and I mean, like we saw a bunch of thick ass Spider Man. We saw jacked Spider Man. We saw Avatar Spider Mans. We saw um Spider Bats. We saw a Spider T Rex. We saw a Spider Car. We saw um
Peter Park's car.
uh
We saw
yeah, Peter
thick
Parker, yeah.
ladies, spider ladies. I feel
Yes.
represented for
Yeah.
once.
Mm, mm.
God, stop
That
it,
was the first time
stop
I've
it.
ever I bit my bottom lip watching Spider-Man. I never thought I would do that. I was like, all right, cool. Good for them. So
Ooh. Yeah, I said holy shit out loud during this movie like at least 10 times.
okay, you brought up you said the word, and we have to discuss it because you said the word holy, which made me think of Spot. Can we talk about like Spot's all of his quotes are problematic as shit.
Well, when
My
we
holes
very
have a
first meet
meaning. My
him,
holes are for everyone.
I went inside my own holes. Um, when he first shows up and his like first line is something like, "Where's your ATM machine?" In my brain, I immediately went, "Why would you say the machine part? You just say ATM. Like the M
Yeah.
stands for machine." And they bring it up so many times in the movie, and I'm like, "Thank God this is like a running joke in the movie." Because later when they go to Mumbattan, and he's like, "Well, I love chai tea," and that Peter, I can't remember his name, but he's like, "Chai tea? What are you,
Yeah.
an idiot?" Oh, I
Yeah.
loved it.
You say, yeah, you're basically saying TT. You're basically saying taco taco or something like, yeah, something along those lines.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean,
Oh,
and
non bread.
also,
Like, don't call it non
yeah,
bread. It's just non.
yes, there we go. Yeah, not yeah, that's another thing. But okay, I forget. Yeah, I forget. Spider-Man India. I apologize for from Moon. Can we just call him Moonbatten Spider-Man? Like just to
Yeah.
yeah, Moonbatten.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um. Well, does this mean like he is the only Spider-Man with a like an actual happy beginning? You
Right? I
know,
was thinking about that too, because if he doesn't have his canonical event, is he just like the happiest Spider Man? Or like his
which is
universe is collapsing in on itself. So
right.
is.
But it's like if he is the happiest Spider-Man, I'm all for it because the intro that we get to for him is such a fun intro. Like he's a confident Spider-Man. He's jovial. He's happy. Like life is going well for this guy. Like I'm
Mm-hmm.
all about it. And when he came, and the way that they did his costume, because I saw the original costume how it was in the comics, and then showed. I mean, you want to talk about a glow up? Go look at his original costume and then see what they did with it. It's amazing. Like, ugh,
Well, and his fighting style is modeled after, oh, I wish I could remember the name of it, but it's one of the oldest fighting techniques in the world that originates from India. And they incorporate that in like his animation and how he fights and stuff. It was so cool. Um,
see,
yeah, just, oh, uh, another thing that I've been thinking a lot about, how annoyed do you think Miguel O'Hara is? Because if there's one thing to know about Spider-Man, he's the quippiest little boy of all time. And if you have
yeah.
thousands of them always quipping, how annoying would that be?
Right. Yeah. And then to even top it off, you get a 15-year-old Afro Latino kid from Brooklyn. So he's got clapbacks galore. Like, like I feel like Miguel O'Hara would probably get roasted. I hope he gets like cooked in the third movie. You know what I mean? Just like
Thick
absolutely just
shoulders,
roasted. Like,
tiny waist. What can we say about that?
yeah. This
You Dorito
this
looking
man thinks
mother
he's a
effer.
yeah, you think this man think he a spider and a bat? What's wrong with him? It's but
Well, and like
and
I
speaking
guess
of
they
bat,
mentioned it earlier when Gwen and Miles are thwipping through Brooklyn, she says something like he's a good guy vampire or something. And I missed that because I needed subtitles for this movie, honestly.
yeah,
Because there was so much happening at once that I didn't quite understand everything that they were saying. So but I was watching like a breakdown video of it, and it's like she mentions that he's a vampire, and I was like, oh shit, that totally just like flew right by me. And I had no, and I had noticed later when he's like whips out his fangs to go and eat uh who is he attacking? I can't remember, but he like whips out his
I don't
vampire
know.
fangs and and
Yeah.
it's yeah. And I was like, oh, is he some kind of werewolf fella?
No, like, well, I think that,
Spider werewolf.
but well, if anything, I feel like he's got to be the Spider-Man that has probably dealt with the most. You know what I mean? Like, I think because he's got to carry like one, he lost his family, okay? Then he lost his universe, right? And
But
now
yeah,
he has
so
he
did
has
all
the
these. Mm.
yeah, okay, but he lost his universe, but he knows that he's like one of the few people that can stop it. And he has all this pressure because if he doesn't do it, like it's like he's like the greater good guy. You know what I mean? Like he's for
Well, okay,
and
hold on,
so
hold on. So
but then he has the burden of being a
did
vampire.
yeah, but did he lose his original universe because he had traveled to that other universe where he had a family and was happy? So what's the deal with his original universe?
Man, he probably owe alimony or something, and he probably just don't want to go back or something. You know what I mean? Like it's or like the house probably foreclosed, or maybe like somebody tried to reach him about his extended warranty, and they just didn't want to. He just didn't want to come back. Like maybe that's just what it was the entire time. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Well, oh, I do have a question for you. Have you seen the discourse on Twitter about Gwen Stacy being trans?
I briefly saw it, and then I was like, "Who cares?" This is because I'm just like, you know what? It doesn't matter. If anything, I honestly didn't pick up on like I saw there was like a trans sticker. I want to say, but like I didn't pick up. I was like,
Yeah, so she
honestly,
has.
here's what I did. Like I was just more so happy that they actually showed a person with a gap tooth, and like that no, like honestly, and I was like, this is like I
Sure,
thought that
sure.
was neat. I thought that was neat. I'm not even being mean about it. I was like,
Hmm.
that's cool.
Yeah,
I don't know.
it's something that like I noticed during the movie she has a protect trans kids like poster in her room. And then the
Hmm.
dad has it looks like a trans patch above his badge. And then of course all the lighting and the color choices like really leaned so heavily into that. And so I don't know if that's like an intentional thing, but also like really reflects that same message about like telling your parents things that you don't know how to tell them, right? Like this could mean something to a queer kid, right? Who
Right.
is trying to figure out how to talk to his parents about wanting to come out and, mustering up the courage to do that. They can really resonate with this.
Well, yeah, and I think and I totally missed that, but I can see the parallels. And guess what? If I did miss it, cool. Like there's some. That's why I said this movie's so packed full of stuff that is like if you it's for everyone. That's why I loved about this movie. It is for queer people. It is for people of color. If you need if you need some stability, Peter Parker shows up, for safety. If you need that white savior like guy to just show up
Yeah.
and like be a dad, yeah, like Peter Parker shows up eventually and just kind of Chris Pratt's his way around and just like it's fine. Everybody relax. Just
That's such a
just
good description for what he does in this movie. He just Chris Pratt's around.
yeah, it's fine. It, I don't get the discourse because they just gave you arguably one of the greatest movies of all time. I'm sorry, you could just put this up in anybody's top 10. This is arguably one of the
Yeah. Oh yeah.
greatest. Yeah, film. This is cinema. You got real storytelling. The soundtrack is amazing. The score is amazing. Uh,
God, the
this,
score
this
is
movie,
so
does,
good.
the movie does not miss. So I'm like, if anybody wants to be mad about them, they've got some other things
Well,
going on in their life that I have no control over.
yeah, the discourse that I've seen hasn't necessarily been negative, but I have crafted my Twitter in such a way that it's very positive and supportive towards trans kids. So luckily I haven't seen any negative takes on it, but I'm sure it's out there because I'm curious to see the clickbait videos. Maybe I'll do a search for that right now. The clickbait videos of people who are like, "This movie flopped."
I don't see no. That's just people that just want those clicks. Don't give them those clicks. Don't give them those clicks, Rebecca. You don't
I'm
know.
not gonna click. I'm
We
just gonna do it like a search.
you're gonna mess up your algorithm. Now your algorithm's gonna show
My
you
algorithm
extended
is already
warranties.
okay. There's one
Hmm.
video that says this flopped. This who is this person?
Oh my god! Don't even mention their name.
I'm not going
It's not
to. I'm
worth.
not going to.
It's not worth the time. Just work. Just mention the title. Just mention the BS title.
Um,
I've
let's see.
seen.
It's Miles Morales flops again. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse is about to get crushed.
Yeah, that is a sad, lonely person who has
Right. And the
nothing to
caption,
do, and
the
they just.
caption or like the description or whatever is like Across the Spider-Verse is predicted to have a good box office take, but will it beat the Super Mario Brothers movie? Like, of course it's not going to. Super Mario's Brothers is one
Mm,
of the largest animated movies of all time. Like you can't beat it, but quality wise, best movie of all time. We
yes,
left and I was like, well, Into the
quality.
Spider-Verse was the best Spider-Man movie until this one. And I can't wait to say it
Yeah.
again in March when we see Beyond the Spider-Verse.
Yeah. So like I said, like I always say on the show, anytime I see this is how you know I enjoyed a movie. If I tell you to start checking on your mental and physical health and make sure you have coverage, that means you need to stick around and see how this movie concludes. Because that means you take care of yourselves, take care of your body, take care of your family, get some life insurance. Maybe, I don't know, just get a physical. Eat tomatoes, eat some acai berries. What's up?
Eat some
So,
leafy green vegetables.
the I gotta bring up the soundtrack real quick. The soundtrack. does not miss again. It's fire. Like the joint with ASAP Rocky, dun, 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 dun. Metro Boomin, one of my favorite producers that's making music today, absolutely killed it. My son, who saw the movie as well, like he, who's not really familiar with Metro Boomin's production, he was like, Metro Boomin did it. I was like, oh, my son is paying attention to who's making music now. And
Oh,
so,
my
like,
son's
that made,
cool.
yeah, I was like, well, he's always been cool, but
Yeah.
that made me like really excited. That made me really excited that he's paying attention to that, and it's just kind of bridging the gap. And so for me, for me, this Miles Morales is my son Spider Man.
Oh,
Peter Parker is I mean he's still my Spider Man, but like what Miles does, what Jessica Drew does, what Miguel O'Hara, what Gwen Stacy does, I'm and I'm batting Spider. God, I'm messing. I could Google's free. I could use it right now and just figure out their names, but
yeah, but
I
why would
forget.
we?
But yeah, but I just love this movie. That's really it. I don't have much more left to say.
I know.
So
I'm dying to see it again. My husband was out of town when it came out, and he's been sick. So I'm just like, I can't, because I can't wait for him to see it. But I'm like, we can't go to the theater until you're not sick anymore, and it's driving me
yeah,
nuts.
yeah, you can't do that. So go see this movie, please. Okay,
Give it $8.
I normally be a little bit more hype, but I'm very tired, and
Yeah, it's late
but
there.
yeah, it is. But it's all good. I'm just glad that we might do another one of these deep dives. Like, hey, I saw it 5 times, and this is what I picked up. I don't care. We just do it. Hey, I
Oh, that's
saw
the
this
thing.
movie 25 times.
There's so many Easter eggs, like an insane amount of Easter eggs. Like, um, there's an everything everywhere all at once reference in the movie, which is crazy
Yeah.
because the bagels tie it all together. Bagels once again causing
Yes.
multiverses.
Well, and like that's the thing. Yeah, bagels. That's like if anyone asked me, because someone asked me like, what if I could sum up this movie in three other familiar IPs that we all know, I would say Batman, Rick and Morty, and Everything, Everywhere, All at Once.
Yeah.
It's that's it. I mean, it really it really kind of sums it up. Like I know in DC they always say the world needs a Batman, but like the multiverse needs a Spider-Man. That's
Mm-hmm.
you know what I'm
Ooh,
saying? Like
I'll leave you with just one more question. Um, because Universe Earth 42, where our Miles gets transported to because he was bitten by a spider from that universe. So he gets transported to that
right.
universe where his dad is dead, and that Miles Morales is the Prowler. And it seems like
Yeah.
the Suicide Squad, or not the Suicide Squad, the Sinister Six has the run of the town. Do you think, I wonder if they set this up this way intentionally to make us afraid of Uncle Aaron and Prowler Miles, but what if they're the good guys? What if, because that Miles was supposed to get bit by a spider, and they even show that in one of the animations, like in the movie. But because he's not
Hmm.
Spider-Man, what if Prowler's a good guy in this movie, and we are set up to be like so scared for Miles? Uh, because yeah, I mean, if another Miles comes from another universe, like of course you're gonna tie him up and be like cautious and scary
Yeah.
towards them. But what if it's revealed that they're actually good guys and they're trying to do a good?
I actually have that same theory because we got teased a bunch of Sinister Six villains in those different um before they went to the go home machine. So I mean
Mm-hmm.
like and then we already did get references of Doctor Strange. Was it Miguel was like screw Doctor Strange. He don't even get me
Yeah.
started on that guy.
Yeah.
So we do know that the things that happen in Spider-Man No Way Home. Also, by the way, we do get to see a brief Tobey Maguire in this joint. Um,
Tobey
and
Maguire,
so
Andrew
like
Garfield, the
yeah, so
Venom,
we
the Venom convenience store. I That was another
hmm
moment where I was like, I do not believe this is happening in front of my eyes right now.
right. So there's a great possibility that we see a double Miles team up, you know, to right these wrongs and bring balance, and maybe that's what it is, or and to I think if they did do like, all right, good Miles versus bad Miles, that's a classic. Like it'll work. I'll either way. I sign me up.
See, and I just, because it's a kids movie and because the way kids movies go these days, I don't think they would do a bad Miles versus good Miles. I think that they would be like, inside you are
Hmm,
two wolves, and those one of those wolves is a prowler.
I like that.
Doesn't
I like
necessarily
that.
mean that they're bad wolves. They're just different
Yeah,
wolves.
no, yeah. How about that, everybody? Doesn't mean they're bad wolves. Maybe just the wolves are a little bit different. Okay, a little bit more
Inside you are two
malnourished.
wolves, and they each just need a little boop on the snoot.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes, yeah, a boop on the snit. All right, I never heard that term, but I'll take it.
Boop boop on the snoot. I did say it with like a weird accent. Boop on the
Oh, the
snoot.
snout.
The snoot.
Oh,
SNOOT. Snoot. Because
okay.
yeah, you know, and thanks for joining us, everybody.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right. Well, yeah. How many universes or multiverses do you give it?
Oh, so many. So many. I When Oscar season rolls around, this one's going to be, if this doesn't show up on um like Oscar nomination stuffs, people are going to riot. People are going to be big pissed.
I'll say this right now. I said this to a good friend of mine. I said, listen, just give this movie the Oscar and then already just give them the next one. Like just for the
Yeah.
for the next
Yeah.
one. Just like, hey, we know what's coming. We know
Mhm.
what's coming. And
Yeah.
I feel like this is the hype around the closure. If this is a trilogy, it may be a quadrant or whatever. But if this
Mhm.
is a true trilogy and they're going to bring this to an end, the only thing I can think that is hyped, like that will be hyped for the conclusion, is like something like Game of Thrones season 8, the final season. And
Yeah.
so like I hope it just delivers. You know what I mean? Because if you know you want to talk about, if this movie doesn't win Oscars, people will riot. No, if this doesn't end well, people will riot. But I have all my faith in Spider Lats, and shout out to
Mhm.
Bowflex, and
Right, but that's the scary thing too. Like, they Into the Spider-Verse was so good already, and Across the Spider-Verse is so good. That's a really high bar that they've set for themselves, and I'm sure they can
absolutely,
make it. I'm sure, but there's always the teeniest tiniest possibility of, oh no, what if?
we'll see. We'll
We'll see.
see.
We'll see
This was
ya
fun.
in the next universe. I don't know how to end this. Thwip.
I don't know either. Let's do a boop on the snoot. Boop.
Boop.
All right, y'all. Peace. That was fun.